Hi, everybody. I'm Trish Christ. In this episode of Our Nashville, NECAT and our super crew of teenagers spend some time with Nashville Repertory Theatre. Artistic director, the Renee Copeland, and her team are going to show and tell us all the things they do in our community.
Well, come on in. This is the costume shop.
Oh, cool.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville. It's our Nashville.
We all know how to talk about our organization during meetings, but what about the chance encounter of a lifetime? You never know who may share your next elevator, notice your logo on a notebook or a tote bag, and ask what you do. What's the clearest, most persuasive thing you can say in a short elevator ride?
Nashville Rep is committed to bringing people to feel human empathy, and we do that through excellent storytelling, and we do that through making emotional and intellectual connections in the theater experience. And, you know, it makes a difference.
One of my favorite topics in the world, obviously, theater.
Good for you.
Excellent taste. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good hobby. I have a lot of questions for you, and I'm going to start with what I think is an easy one, but I don't know the answer to it. Tell me about the name change from Tennessee Rep to Nashville Rep.
Oh, yeah, that was an exciting time for us. You know, when Tennessee Rep was founded, sort of in tandem with the creation of the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, right? So Martha Ingram, the amazing arts philanthropist that we are lucky to have in town, was having this arts center built. And of course, if you're going to have an arts center, and this is in the mid 80s, 1980s, you know, you want to have some resident arts groups as well. So Tennessee Rep was named Tennessee Rep at that time. It was going to the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, and certainly its goal at that time was sort of to help bring awareness to Middle Tennessee theater and arts and that sort of stuff. So, you know, it was the perfect name for that time. The thing that has happened, of course, since then is that Nashville has, in the last 10 years or so, I mean, I'm not sure where you would start counting it, has started to evolve into this amazingly, it's becoming really famous as being a creative center. Not just about music, but all kinds of creative types are flocking to Nashville now, and it's becoming a place where people are thinking of as a place to come live because of all the awesome possibilities for someone's quality of life here in Nashville, you know. And we kind of felt like, you know, we're kind of a part of that. We've been here a while.
Kind of a big part of that.
We have contributed to that buzz, I think. Certainly, we're a part of that creative landscape. So it was sort of a double-edged choice. We wanted to sort of claim our part to Nashville becoming what Nashville is right now. But also philosophically and sort of our internal culture as an arts organization is always, since I came on board, has been about really wanting to be a part of the local arts ecology, to be a mover and an engine that drives the local arts ecology. So we were committed to utilizing Nashville artists, and we were committed to, you know, making our choices about the shows that we do and the conversations we want to inspire around, you know, what we're experiencing as members of this community. And so it was also just kind of a way to sort of stake that claim as well, to say, you know, Nashville has a lot of opportunities to see all kinds of things that come into our town, and you should go see those things. But also, we're good in this town at being a home for artists, and we just wanted to be a part of that and sort of let everybody know that we are Nashville's professional theater.
Fantastic. So something that we do in these different episodes of Our Nashville is, if there are industry terms specific to the featured organization, even though most people, we think we kind of know what that means, sometimes I ask, help us understand these words.
Oh.
Tell us what it means to be a repertory theater, Nashville Repertory Theater.
Yeah, it's interesting you should ask that question. Yes, so there is a specific definition to the word repertory, and then there's the way the word repertory has come to be used in the American professional theater. So technically, a repertory theater, by definition, is a theater that will do a cycle of shows. In other words, they'll do a bunch of shows in rep. they'll do one night of one play and then another night of another play, and then they'll cycle back to that other one. And so doing shows in a repertory means to do them in a certain kind of a cycle, and that was sort of standard way to do stuff. The other way to do it is the actual term is to do something in stock, like to do 4 weeks of a show, put it away, do another show, put it away. So those are the technical terms. However, in the development of the nonprofit regional theater world, repertory has come to mean a professional theater that doesn't operate outside of New York, right? So the regional theaters are basically anything outside of New York. And the idea of adapting the word repertory is kind of more about helping everyone understand that's what kind of world the theater is in. We're not community theater, we're not academic theater, we're not Broadway theater, commercial theater. We're a nonprofit regional theater. And a lot of those theaters adopt the name repertory to help tell that story. So we're not technically a repertory theater by that specific definition, but we're a repertory theater in the same way there are repertory theaters all over the country.
Class.
So it's sort of a class, a kind of definition of a kind of theater that you are.
You've created many things that were not there before your time, as far as I know. I think Rep Aloud, that's your creation?
Yeah.
Tell us about Rep Aloud.
Yeah, we reached this point where so much good theater in so little time. So we were really interested in a couple things. One is we were really interested in exploring some plays that for whatever reason might not actually make it to the main stage. Maybe the cast is really big and we can't quite afford it, or maybe I know we did Take Me Out because, of course, it was a prize-winning play, but also it had nudity in it. We thought, let's do it as a staged reading. At least we'll get familiar with this play. And so, we were sort of like trying to find a way to get to explore stuff through other means other than just main stage production. But then the other thing was we ended up really coming to the conclusion pretty quick into my tenure that we are really anxious to have other ways to have intersection with people who love theater than just the main stage shows. And so we decided to add this stage reading series. So Rep Aloud, it's a very clever acronym that means reading excellent plays. Get it? REP. Rep Aloud. We try to, it's varied from year to year, kind of depends on how it fits in with the other work that we're doing, but 2 or 3 a year is usual. And then as time has gone on, we have found it to be a delightful way to sometimes augment the conversation tied to a main stage production. So for example, when we did Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, that's a Tom Stoppard play that basically deals with these characters from Hamlet. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern tells the story of Hamlet from their point of view. Hilarious. But if you know the play Hamlet, it's a little more entertaining. You don't have to, but if you do, it's great because you get all the in jokes, right? So we did a Rep Aloud in partnership with Denise and Nashville Shakes to do a staged reading of Hamlet as part of a Rep Aloud series that, if you could come and see that, then you would enjoy Rosencrantz and Guildenstern even better. So there have been several chances to sort of heighten the capacity to really enjoy something that was going on the main stage through staged reading. And of course, after the Rep Alouds, we always have a talk back, and that's one of my favorite parts. Is just talk about the play in a room full of people who just got to hear it, and it's fun.
I think another special experience for your audiences, and I think this was your idea too, is the look-ins. That's pretty new, right?
I would love to claim the look-ins, but in its current form, I'll claim that. But the idea of having an audience, having a rehearsal open for audience members to come in actually was not my original idea. I think the rep was doing that, I don't know for how long before I got there, but what we did was we shaped that event to be specifically, kind of at the same time in every rehearsal period rather than one-offs. And we were able to get volunteers involved in a way that, we provide food and drink for everybody who comes. And then we present a little bit of it's just a behind-the-scenes glimpse at the play, right? So we have, the director will talk a little bit about the show, and the designers will describe, it actually takes place in the rehearsal hall, so they get a chance to see how the set's all taped out on the floor, and the designer will show the drawings of the sets and the costumes and stuff, and then we do a scene or two from the play, which at that point is still very much in rehearsal. Sometimes, the actors are off book, and sometimes they're not, or sometimes they try to be, and they have to call for line, which the audience thinks is awesome. But we try to, we really want people to get some sense of what it's like to rehearse a show. And so we sort of started focusing on that in the last handful of years. And again, it's a really great way if you're a theater lover, especially. But even if you're not, I love finding out. I always ask at the beginning of a look-in how many people have ever come to a look-in before, and there's always some for whom, they are look-in virgins, and I love that. But for people who are very curious about the process of theater, it's really a great way to get a peek at that. So I enjoy it very much.
I liked it. I've only been to one, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's
And I
fun.
liked watching the people in the audience as much as the perform. Obviously I love watching the performers, but for the very reasons that you give.
Yeah.
And the lights are kind of on. It's not like a normal setting where you can
Right.
sort of see
We're all
everybody.
just hanging around in the room, and it's really fun for the people who are doing the show too, because you get a little bit of a glimpse ahead of time into what an audience response might be for just that little bit of scene or scenes that you do, and that's really useful. And if I'm directing a play and I get the chance to find out an audience is going to gasp or laugh or something at that moment, it's very informative, and the actors find it so as well. So it's kind of a mutually beneficial experience of sharing in that moment. You get to learn about the play. We get to learn about your reaction to the play. We do a Q&A usually and have some conversations.
My name is Amos Glass. I'm the management associate. My job as a management associate is, in other words, people call me the glue of the company. I pick up some of the things that are dropped off. For instance, I'm the marketing associate, the development associate. I'm the event coordinator, the volunteer coordinator. I'm the hospitality manager for the Ingram New Works project. I'm the board liaison, and I pretty much just do whatever needs done at that moment to help make the company look wonderful. Nashville is a very diverse community, so it's really nice to see in our audiences people of all walks of life, all different backgrounds coming together to share live theater, which helps create empathy in our community. Theater matters because it's the only thing that theater can do. Theater is the only art form, in my opinion, that can truly speak to you on your own level. For instance, if you go to a movie, you see a picture of what's happening and you see it and you feel it and you are there. In theater, it invites you to join the movie. It invites you to be part of them. In opera, ballet, and the symphony, most people don't do that. Most people just don't start dancing when they're excited. I do all the time. But theater is real people on stage talking about their problems, their issues, their feelings, their emotions, and we invite an audience to come on stage basically and join these emotions. How do these people feel? Do I have those feelings? I have to rethink the way I feel about you because I didn't see things from your side. It truly teaches us to be a better group of people, but it also teaches us that by listening and experiencing through other people, we can change the world, and theater can do that.
My name is Erin Bishop, and I am a board member. I was asked by a friend who was a former board member that knew they were looking for some new folks to join the organization and had the opportunity to do that. I was basically born and raised in community theater and have always been very passionate about it, so I jumped at the chance to join. Theater really provides a lens through which audience members can see different perspectives. It provides, I think, a safe way for people to sometimes talk about issues and themes that may not be safe to talk about directly. And I think in particular the season that we've done this year has provided a lot of opportunity for that. So I really think that the arts and theater in particular create a very positive source for people to talk with one another. And I think that is certainly something that's been very difficult in our society over the past couple of years. I think it's important for organizations like the Nashville Rep to support professional theater and to create an organization that can help people in the creative arts have thriving careers. And I think as a community, as a country, as a world, we really need artists who can focus entirely on their craft. And being able to pay them affords us the opportunity as a community to have those kinds of people share their craft with us.
One other element that is new of the last decade relates to Nate Epler. So I first knew him as an actor, and he is so much else in theater beyond acting. tell me what he is to you.
Yeah, no, I first knew him as an actor as well. But at that time, closely thereafter, I was in need of some help with a project that was born in the 2009-2010 season called the Ingram New Works Project. This is a new play development project, which is a three-part program. We basically offer a fellowship to a playwright who's well known. We support a season-long lab that supports the writing of new plays by well, now it's become nationally known playwrights. It was originally sort of local and regional. And then, of course, all of the play written by the fellow and the plays written by the lab playwrights get featured in a festival at the end of the year. So the Ingram Festival is in May, and stage readings of these new plays that have been created over the course of the year get their spotlight. The national attention that this program has brought to us, and then therefore making it possible for us to get even better playwrights involved in it, is largely due to the kind of thinking that he contributes to working on that project. It's his job to sort of keep his thumb on what's going on in the world of playwriting, which he does, and he's obviously a participant. His own work as a playwright has been a part of his work with us, keeping the Ingram on an upward swing in terms of growth and vitality. And so it's been it's been, again, a mutually beneficial experience in that way. But honestly, it wouldn't be what it is now without his participation.
I'm Nate Epler. I'm the director of the Ingram New Works Project, and I'm the playwright in residence for Nashville Repertory Theatre. The very first year, David Alford he had been artistic director of the company, and he had an idea for a play, and Martha Ingram, one of our founders and one of our best supporters, put together a sort of a program for him to develop that play at Nashville Rep. And there was immediately an audience for it. And the year after that, they did a similar commission with a playwright named Victoria Stewart. And in that year, there was, twice as much interest as there had been the year before that. And Renee Copeland and the associate artistic director at the time, Lauren Schaus, had a conversation on a way to expand what they were doing to start serving the community directly. And so they brought in a group of playwrights who had been working on plays in Nashville and gave them the support that they gave to David 2 years prior and to Victoria Stewart. And I was part of that group. So I got a phone call from Lauren Schaus. I had been in town and I was about to move. I was about to leave. And she called and asked if I would like to be the part of the first cohort for the Nashville Rep Ingram Works Lab. And I said yes. And so it's a couple of separate projects that are all sort of interlinked. One is the Ingram New Works Lab, where we bring in 3 or 4 national playwrights to work on brand new plays over the course of a year. One is the Ingram New Works Fellowship, where we bring in a playwright of national reputation and they develop a new play with us. Then there's the writing room, which is a project where we give the exact same kind of assets that we would give these national playwrights to local playwrights. And then the Ingram New Works Festival, which is, the giant celebration of all these plays. It's a 2-week party in the middle of May where we read brand new plays that have never existed before. Look, my favorite part about all of that is how desperately it all needs Nashville. It's one thing to just be brought in and write a play and the theater says that they love you and they support your work, but it's something else to be in a place that treasures new work like that and to actually put it in front of the audience and have them respond to it and help launch it in the stratosphere. It's the best part. I honestly think one of the reasons why the program succeeds the way it does is because of the way it relies back on the community. We don't do this stuff behind closed doors. We rely on the actors that are here working in the city to come in and work on these new plays. And then the effect on that is it expands the creative capacity of the city. The first year that we did this, there were no new plays on any of the main stage seasons on any of the companies. There was one company doing new plays. Yeah. And from this point, each year, there's more and more new plays. Last year, all of the companies had a brand new play on their season. And this year, I think that's about to be true again. It's because there's an appetite for it. And there's artists who are excited about that kind of work.
My name is Tori Keenan-Zelt, and I am one of the Ingram playwrights here. I did the lab a couple of years ago, and I was so excited to be invited back this year to do a victory lap and develop a brand new play. So at the beginning of the year, a bunch of writers around the country pitch play concepts and send plays that they've already written, and 4 are chosen. And over the course of the year, we develop the play from soup to nuts. So we start with page 1, and we have actors in the room every month, And this year I actually did some devising processes with some local artists to help inform my play. So that was really great. I got to infuse my play with some of local Nashville art. And then by the end of we have a week with the fellow, who is a nationally renowned playwright, a Pulitzer Prize winner, somebody like that. We get feedback on our plays. And then in May, we have the Ingram New Works Festival, in which we share our plays with Nashville audiences. I think the best part of being involved in this program is the openness and hospitality of the community, the artistic community in Nashville, Nashville Rep, the other artists who are in the lab with us. We've sort of become a national network of playwrights who support one another after the lab. And as soon as you arrive here, you start hearing things like all wishes are granted, and it's actually true. I can ask for things that will help my play, and they happen. And I have come to see, because of that experience, I've come to see Nashville as an artistic home for myself. So even though I live in New York, my art lives here, and I love coming back. I think this program is unique in the country as a new play program. The structure of it, the kind of depth of support that we get as people and as writers on this particular play. Because of that, I have learned how to take charge of my writing process and ask for what I need. And I've written better work than I have made ever. And that growth has continued. So then now that I go out into the world, I'm taking that support with me.
The thing about theater and why it exists and why it must continue to exist and why it will continue to exist is there's not a better tool for teaching people how to have empathy for other people. It's the thing that I get up, it's the reason I get up in the morning, because I know that the thing that I'm doing, if I do my work right, someone is going to have an experience that will stretch their ability to feel empathy just a little bit, put themselves in someone else's shoes, see a story from a different point of view, and learn how to exercise that muscle. I don't know if you're feeling this like I am, but right now we have a real dearth of the ability to feel empathy for someone who's not
Like you.
like you. And so I actually have a speech that I've given often, kind of my thing. But the thing that I always end up with is empathy is the thing without which evil is done. Empathy is that thing that without which we don't learn from history. Empathy is that thing that without which we will kill each other. And so we're in a sort of very real sense, out to save the world in that way. And I don't take that lightly. I always have to say it with a little bit of a joke, that I'm here to save the world. But I believe that that the purpose of what we do is that important. We have to be better people.
So you know that PEG channels like NECAT, by federal law, we can't solicit donations on behalf of other nonprofits. And certainly every nonprofit needs donations. But other than funding, what could viewers watching right now who are suddenly inspired to get involved and to help the rep in some way, what can they do to support your endeavor?
Well, we depend a lot on word of mouth, So I mean, I would say come see a show, come to a reading and get involved in the conversation. Come to the festival in May and meet these playwrights and just sort of learn what there is going on in this community, in the theater community, and then bring a friend the next time. There's really, social media is becoming, a core staple for anyone trying to make human connections. But I don't know if there's any world that depends on human connections more than theater. I mean, theater only exists in that moment when a live actor and a live audience member are in the same room at the same time, and there's this exchange of energy. So we're keenly aware that human connection is the driving force, not only in our art form, but in the way that we are in service. So come, but then help us spread the word. Bring friends and family, and make sure that human connection gets spread around a little bit.
Okay, Renee, now we're at my favorite part of the whole segment.
So nervous.
We've entered the speed round. And even though you asked me to read you the zoo's questions instead of your own
I
questions,
think that would be interesting.
That
I'm
would
just
be good.
saying.
but in fact, no, these questions are designed for you. Are you ready?
All right.
I will ask you a question just
Mhm.
like when we were kids, and just let your first answer fly, and we'll move on to the
All right.
next.
All right.
Speed round with Renee Copeland. To be polite, roughly how early should an audience member arrive before showtime?
20 minutes.
Is it okay to text during a play?
No.
Take a phone call?
No.
Snapchat?
Please don't.
What play would you direct again in a heartbeat?
Death of a Salesman.
What play that you have never directed would you love to do?
Romeo and Juliet.
What word do you say more than any other word in rehearsal?
I can't say it.
Bleep.
Bleep.
What mark do you want Nashville Rep to make on the world?
I want everyone to learn how to love each other and be good people because they came to our shows.
Wow. And what's your website?
NashvilleRep.org.
See how easy that was?
Woohoo!
Painless.
I think I got all of them right.